Good evening, guys. Good evening. Give me one moment. I'm going to get started at 6 o'clock. Today I'm talking about transactional relationships. How's everybody doing? How have you been? I hope you're all staying safe and really staying strong, mind, body, spirit, and soul. Give me 1 second. Like I said, I'll get started in a bit. Let's talk about relationships. Transactional relationships is what I'm talking about today. And this is based on questions I got in my DM this week. Sorry I've been away for a while, but I'm back now. And today I'm talking about transactional relationships because it's the bottom line of the reason why we go through so much turmoil when it comes to relationships. How do we get to even start looking at transactional relationships? Hi, Colleen. Thanks so much for joining. I see you. Share this with someone who may benefit from this. Hi, Olumide. I see you. Thanks so much for joining. Today, I'm talking about transactional relationships because it's the bottom line of why we go through so much turmoil in relationships, why we go through so much heartbreaks, why we go through so much stress, why we go through so much trauma without even realizing that it's all based on transactional relationships. And it's all about helping you uncover reasons why relationships are not meant to be transactional and why you need to stop getting into transactional relationships. I'm doing great, Kunle. Thanks so much for asking. Why you need to stop getting into transactional relationships if you're looking to build healthy, if you're looking to get it right, if you're looking to have a committed relationship, first with yourself before even having a committed relationship with anyone else. So today I'm going to talk about the bottom line of what leads to transactional relationships. I'm going to talk about what you can do to get your mindset right and move out of transactional relationships into healthy relationships. And it's all about looking at patterns that you may have acquired over years, right from childhood, and how those show up currently in your own space, so that once you start getting the knowledge, you stop repeating cycles, you stop repeating patterns, you stop getting into rebounds, you stop getting into unhealthy relationships or toxic ones, you stop attracting partners who take you into a more painful place, and you start to heal and really get it right with yourself first while you learn how to build with others. But you have to build first for yourself. One of the reasons why we get into transactional relationships earlier in life is because we come into a family environment, family dynamics, where everything is also transactional. We've grown up in a dysfunctional environment. We've grown up in an unhealthy family background. We've grown up in a broken home. And all we have learned to do is mirror everything that we see. And when we start to mirror, you may also develop feeling of unworthiness, feeling of shame, feeling of guilt, feeling of abandonment, feeling of rejection. And because you're not validated, the first thing you tend to do is begin to look for a partner who will validate you. And because you do these things subconsciously or unconsciously, you're not aware of those things that lead you into getting into transactional relationships. But the key is to figure it out tonight so that you stop going into those kind of relationships. Like I said, it all begins from the childhood experience, growing up in that dysfunctional environment. All you learn is based on transaction. Why do they have conflicts? Growing up, your parents may have had conflicts and you've watched that and you sometimes even feel ashamed, and you may be a child that has also been broken by a parent who's also broken and cannot really communicate what love is to you. So all you know is you get rewarded, transaction, when you do something right. You get abused, or how do I put it? I don't like using the word abuse most of the time. You get shamed, you get left with the feeling of guilt and shame when you don't do something right. You get devalued constantly when you don't do something right. And as long as you're getting to those stages, getting to those stages where you're beginning to feel invalidated by a parent, you start to look for the comfort in other people. That's how you start to people please. That's how you begin to seek to please other people. Not only please, you also try to make them feel comfortable. Why you get uncomfortable, even in friendships. And as long as you're building all that, the trauma that you've acquired as a child becomes the baseline for which you operate, and all you're doing is seeking for validation and acceptance, even in friendships. And so all you do is mirror back everything you've seen, and you're getting into a space where the first partner that comes to you validates your feeling, not validates you, makes you settle. Let me say that again. The first partner you meet, when you don't feel secure enough, when you feel unworthy, when you feel unloved, when you feel unvalidated, the first partner you meet that begins to validate your feelings, not necessarily validate you, happens to be what you settle for based on the transaction. What's that transaction? The validation that you're getting. It may be they're playing with your emotions at that point, but all you're looking for is that validation. And once your feelings start getting validated because you felt unworthy, you felt unloved, you felt, not yourself, you don't even know who you are yet. All you tend to do is settle for that validation of your feeling, and your emotions begin to run. And in doing so, you become codependent. And what you're doing with the codependency is the people pleasing, and you're forming a trauma bond with the partner. And so your relationship is only transactional and good for those moments when you get validated. What happens when you start getting devalued or disrespected? You no longer feel that relationship is what you need. And you begin to, the partner, it may be you, it may be the partner, they begin to exit. And they go on to repeat patterns. All you're doing is validating your feelings, but you're not finding yourself, and you're not feeling complete, and you're not feeling whole, and all you do is validate your feelings, but you're not validated. Because you don't know at that point that you were already validated when you were created. Let me say that again. You were already validated when you were created by God, but what we seek for based on the dysfunctional background that we grew up with is the validation of our feelings. Just to make you feel good in the moment, but not be good to yourself. And when you keep doing that, what you find out is the relationship ends and you begin another transaction. It even happens with your friends. If you look at the circle of friends you have, when it's no longer benefiting to the friend or to yourself, you exit and you pivot, and it's on to the next set of people. And that's why unhealthy habits remain, because all you're doing is forming a transaction. Your relationship is not based on love because you haven't learned to love yourself first. So what you don't have, you cannot give. Neither can you receive, because you don't know what it looks like to receive love, because you're not the love you're seeking. All you're seeking is transactional relationships, not the love that you truly need in your own space. And no one can truly give you that love until you build it first for yourself. If it's making sense to you, and if you have questions, during this live, post your questions so that I can review them and I can begin to answer, because I just don't want to go on without you getting to really understand and grab this concept that will help you stop seeking for transactional relationships. When you don't know yourself, when you don't know what you need, when you haven't met your needs, it's very easy, and you're in that space where you're emotionally unstable, it's very easy to get into transactional relationships. At that point, you don't even know all you're doing is transactional, because you'll have that longing to have someone to take away the pain that you're experiencing. But no one can take that pain away except you start to work on yourself. And when you're not working on yourself to get rid of the pain, then you're going to seek, or you're going to attract someone who will mirror what you're looking for, but necessarily not give you what you need. And that's why you get gaslit during that process. You have a partner, you would attract narcissistic partners, you would attract abusive partners, you would attract time wasters, you would attract players who are also looking to find themselves but don't know. But what's making you attract them? The level of pain and trauma that you carry from childhood that has built up layers upon layers into adulthood. Your inner child is looking for answers, and all you're attracting is someone exactly where you are with yourself. Kunle is asking, do you really know yourself? Life is a process of self-discovery. And if you don't really discover yourself in life, you will never really know yourself. We always think that we know ourselves, but the version of the story we tell ourselves about who we are when we haven't gone through the journey of self-discovery is not your true self. So what is really knowing yourself? Really knowing yourself is to go on that journey of self-discovery, to find yourself so that you're not seeking for transactional relationship. What does it mean to really know yourself? Is to overcome everything that you may have buried on the inside. It's going through healing your inner child, healing from trauma, healing from any environment that you may have mirrored, and committing to yourself to really go on the journey of self-discovery. This was the journey I embarked on 10 years ago. And it wasn't an easy process. I can tell you that. I'm still on a journey of self-discovery. And give me 1 second. I need to pull out my Ring doorbell so that it doesn't distract. It doesn't distract me. So you're looking at, how do you develop knowing yourself? Understand the first step is to know that you are validated by God when He created you. That's the first step to knowing yourself. Because you never believe in yourself when you start to depend on other people based on every childhood pain that you carry. We sometimes don't even remember some of the childhood trauma that we carry until we go on that journey of self-discovery, before you start realizing how much pain you truly have within. And that's exactly what leads you to come up with antiques to get into relationships. If I can do this for this person, if I can make this partner feel like, I will do whatever it is to get in their space, then they will love me. But reality is, you can't make anyone love you or accept you if you haven't loved and accepted yourself. Let me say that again. You cannot make anyone love you or accept you if you haven't accepted or learned to love yourself first. And that's all part of the journey of self-discovery that leads you to finding yourself, so you stop attracting partners. Why do marriages fail? Because of the transaction. We get into it based on the infatuation, out of the illusions that we create, and say, you know what? If I can package myself in this way and make myself become transactional in a relationship where I'm people pleasing than being myself, then what happens? You find out that you're people pleasing and it's leading you into a transaction that will later fail you. Princess says, you need to believe in yourself and love yourself. Absolutely right, Princess. Without loving yourself, you can't truly know what to love, how to love someone, and how to show someone to love you. One of those things that you do when you're in a transactional relationship is not to have boundaries. If Princess says, if you don't take yourself, no one will take you serious. You don't have boundaries when you're in a transactional relationship, because all you're doing is, I'm going to try to give so that I can please and I can make this person love me for who I'm not. When you know yourself, you can't make anybody love you. You have to show them who you are, and they would accept you for who you are without you trying to be in a transaction. It's you setting the boundaries and saying, you know what? These are the things I require in a healthy relationship. And if you don't have it, then we cannot be in a relationship. When you're not healthy yet, emotionally or even mentally, what you tend to do is say, you know what? I can manage. I can settle. I can put myself in this place, hoping that this partner will later change. And what I'm doing is getting into a transaction. I am going to be in here to try to make myself fit in, but that's not where I'm meant to be. And that's why we have a lot of broken relationships in our world, because we go in with our emotions, but our emotions are actually granted to us by God as a guide. Your emotions are supposed to stop you, then allow you get into spaces. That's where your intuition comes in. When you're too emotional because you're not healthy emotionally yet, it's easy to give in and settle for unhealthy relationships and transactional relationships. But when you're emotionally mature, your intuition kicks in and tells you, this is not the relationship you need. It may even be you remembering the name of someone that you were not in a healthy relationship with when that unhealthy partner shows up. And then you realize, this is not where I'm meant to be. How do you begin the process of developing emotional maturity? It all starts with deep healing yourself from every childhood pain that you've buried, every trauma that you've experienced, every mirroring that you've done, parental mirroring that you've done, that has led you to believe that what you have seen growing up is what love truly is for you. You are the only person who can understand what love is for you. Nobody else can show you what love is for you. So if you're looking at a relationship outside of the relationship with yourself, you're going to end up mirroring other people's relationship, and that will never be your own relationship. It would only bring you pain when you don't meet that expectation that you're setting on the transaction based on what you're mirroring. No one can have the relationship that is destined for you outside of you. No one can have that relationship that's destined for you outside of you. Give me one moment. I'm just trying to read comments so that I can respond, and I'm not leaving out anything. Bamidi says, Kemi says, doesn't courtship count to how couples understand each other? Transactional relationships should have been sorted during courtship. At what point does selfishness come in? So, great question, Bami. So the first thing you have to understand is transactional relationship is based on selfishness. And selfishness comes from not loving yourself enough. When you love yourself enough, you know what you need when you get into a relationship. And this is why I've always explained it this way. Dating is what most people believe is a relationship. But dating is not the relationship. Your relationship starts with courtship. When you're dating, you're looking to vet and sort. That's why I've always shared with you. Dating is a vetting and sorting game. You already know yourself. You already know what you need. So you're not going into a transaction. You're going into a relationship based on what you require. How the relationship goals that you have set is what you're using to vet a partner during dating. That's the friendship stage. That's when you begin to know someone. There's a difference in knowing and understanding someone. And as long as you begin to know the partner, then you're willing to begin to learn to understand them. At that point, you can say, you know what? This partner is not for me. So I'm vetting and sorting you at this point. We're not moving into courtship where we begin to build on our relationship. We're just ending it here because I'm not looking for a transaction. But typically, that's not what happens. What happens is the infatuation happens when you meet and you start dating and you start to imagine and create illusions and think this relationship is going to the next level without even knowing and understanding that partner yet. So all you're doing is transaction. I don't know you yet. I'm just emotionally carried away. I'm in an emotionally dwindling environment, roller coaster ride. And so I think the infatuation and the lust now make me believe that I love this person when I don't even understand what love is. And I've been through it myself. And that's when I got out because I realized I didn't know myself. And there was no point in me being with someone where we're either going to kill ourselves and we were both unhealthy because we both came from unhealthy backgrounds. We were both broken. And I didn't want to go on with brokenness. I decided to commit to myself and go on the journey of self-discovery. And that journey is what led me to become a coach, a speaker, and a writer of life and relationship books, because I believe that when we each take the time to work on these things, we will not get into transactional relationships that lead you to just get hyped up. You're emotionally panicking. You're emotionally becoming attached. You're becoming codependent based on all the buried pain and trauma that you haven't healed from. The inner child has a longing, but the adult does not understand what the inner child needs. And so as an adult, you're just going on with adult life, but your inner child is busy crying for help to get out of that funk, to get out of that pain, to get out of the transaction. But sometimes you stay in there because you feel, I don't know what else to do. And that's when you become stuck. And you start to fret and seek for advice. And the advice you get is always based on where other people are with themselves, not necessarily where you need to be with yourself. And so transactional relationships are very unhealthy and they don't last. They carry expiration dates because, again, it's based on assumptions, it's based on infatuation, they're based on lust, and not the reality and the right perspective of life. You don't know yourself yet. You don't know what love is for yourself yet. But somebody validated your feelings, and based on the temporary feelings that you have, feelings come and feelings go and feelings expire with dates. Based on those, you go in and then you discover this is not exactly what I want. And then you try to plaster it up. But then the band-aid is not staying. Everything is falling off. The mask of the partner falls off, or your mask falls off, and you realize this is very unhealthy. But at that point, sometimes you're too deep. I've had clients who went too deep, and I've had someone that I coached in the past who went too deep and ended up losing her life to it. Because she went back thinking, I can't make it without him, because he validated her feelings that she couldn't make it without him. And she ended up dying. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that's stopping you from finding out those inner child pain and trauma that you need to heal from? That's where coaching comes in to help you uncover. And you're the only one who can find the answers, because you're the only one who will go on the journey of discovering yourself. With the help of a coach, you can uncover those things and get to where you need to be at. But without doing it, what you find yourself doing is rebounding back into the same kind of relationships, and you never get out of the funk. You never heal the inner child. You never heal from the trauma. I did that in my own journey. I've shared it so many times. It led me to becoming raped at 17. It led me to get into the wrong relationships because I did not know myself. I thought my feelings being validated and pleasing people and becoming codependent was what I needed. But I came to the point where I had had enough. And I realized the only key was to find myself, to own my own power, to stop giving my power away, to own my voice and own my truth, which is the most important thing that we mostly run away from, the truth that sets us free. And in doing so, here I am, 10 years after. 4 books written to begin to help other people on the journey. Coaching and speaking and constantly empowering and impacting others to really get to find yourself and stop settling for transactional relationships. No matter how much you package it, a transactional relationship will not bring you joy. It will not bring you peace. It would only bring you pain and sorrow. And you can't move beyond the pain until you heal yourself. That's why healing is very important in this journey. And digging through everything that you have buried, overcoming the mirroring that you have done from childhood, and realizing that if I continued to mirror what I thought was love, but was my parents' journey, I will never get over it. I will never find myself. I will never understand what love means in my own world. But it's coming to a deeper understanding of love for yourself. And when you discover that, your life becomes so peaceful. And you realize, if I become committed to myself, then everybody else will commit to me. If I show people that I have healthy boundaries, then I can stop people from stepping over my boundaries and silencing my voice and abusing or creating more toxicity in my own space. It's about you building first and letting your ego slide, because your ego is your greatest enemy. And the ego is what brings about the lies that we tell ourselves and allow us to package ourselves in a way where we settle for transaction when what you need is unconditional love. But before you can receive that unconditional love, you have to first of all give it to yourself. When you give it to yourself, you will better attract people that will give it to you, because you will be a reflection of what you're looking for. And people can see that. And you won't be codependent. You won't be emotionally attached. You will be whole and realize that your partner is whole. You're not looking for half and half. You're looking for wholeness. And it's about you becoming restored in your own world so that you can be the partner you wish to attract. I have so many people coming to me and say, I'm trying to find a partner. No, find yourself before you find a partner. Because when you find yourself, trust me, that partner will fall right into place. And you will even discover the things that you were tolerating that were leading to toxicity in your own world. And you will develop a new mindset and realize there are so many perspectives to life than the one that you're stuck with. If there are questions, I will take your questions. It's all about helping you understand that you were validated from the beginning. And so people validating your feelings and emotions cannot make you feel complete. They would only allow you to become codependent, form trauma bonds, and discover that what you're getting into are transactional relationships. And it's the longing based on your inner child wanting to be free from the feeling of abandonment, from the brokenness, from the pain that you've acquired, from the trauma that you've carried for so long, from all the mirroring that you've done as a child, but you never recognized those weren't the real you. If there are questions, I will definitely take your questions. Again, it's all about helping you uncovering and discovering the truth that will set you free so that you can begin to heal yourself. When you heal yourself and begin to set healthy boundaries, your life will become better and easier. Life is not complicated. We complicate it when we don't know who we are. And there's no need for packaging when you find yourself. You realize that everything that has brought you pain was leading to an enlightenment. But if you're not gaining the enlightenment, what you will gain is more pain and recycle patterns. And you don't want to keep recycling patterns that are unhealthy because they don't help you get out. They don't help you find yourself. They don't help you find your voice. They help you give your power away. But the key is to knowing who you are, finding your own voice, owning every experience and truth in your own space so that you're not getting into transactional relationships. You develop an unconditional love for yourself. And then when you find a partner, it's all about unconditional love, commitment, growth, and easy communication that leads you to build healthier together for the better, not for the bitter. I'm looking out to see if there are questions. Again, it's all about helping you uncovering. It's all about helping you get answers to questions that you may have. Always remember that if you don't ask, you don't receive. And when you don't receive, you won't find answers. Silence is the greatest form of self-abuse, and it leads to self-sabotage when you decide to hold in everything that's burning within and not helping you become free from what you need to be free from. Every breakdown leads to your breakthrough, and it's all about you being able to uncover why you're breaking down so that you can break through. I don't see any questions. I hope I was able to address this. Again, don't focus on building transactional relationships. Focus on building healthy relationships because transactions are based on your feelings from a place of pain than a place of love. Let me see what Bamidi says. He says, I have another question. Here in the UK, women tend to call cops on men and working things to ensure that the system, that they get system supported benefits. Even the cops know it. So calling the cops is a form of manipulation. Calling the cops is when they know they're in an unhealthy place. When you're calling the cops on your partner, when you're in an unhealthy place with yourself, it's a sign of manipulation and control. And it's a sign of a lot of inner childhood pain and trauma that they need to heal from. Most people don't understand how this inner childhood pain comes about. You've gone through so much trauma. You've been broken as a child, and all that's longing is a freedom. And then you find yourself in a relationship with a partner, and you're looking for that partner to rescue you. And when they're not able to give you what you're looking for because you're looking for a transaction, you begin to project your pain on them. And it's just toxicity. It's unhealthy habits. And when you're projecting pain and you're gaslighting your partner and you're stonewalling your partner and you're abusing your partner and you're just giving them the silent treatment, which is another form of abuse, what you're going to do is inflict more pain on yourself than on your partner. Because the partner gets out, works on themselves, or may not even need to work on themselves, but who holds on to the pain? The individual who has all the childhood trauma and unhealed wounds ends up becoming more violent. And that's how you build on narcissistic behavior and emotional numbness. But that doesn't solve the relationship problem. It just makes the transaction go on, and the transaction never stops. All you're going to do is get that partner to get into the transaction again with you. And the cops understand it anyhow. But they can come into domestic cases because that's not their job. Their only job is to protect. and enforce where necessary. But you have to ask yourself in such situation, is that the love you truly need, or are you codependent to the point where you're now accepting abuse as norm? Because that's what happens when you're codependent and you form a trauma bond. And you may have grown up in similar environments where you think that abuse is normal, but it's not. Abuse comes from an unhealthy heart, mindset, and toxic environment. Dysfunctional emotional numbness is what leads to abuse. And like I said, the key is to finding out what works best for you, not your partner. We've been told, culture, tradition, and the society makes us think it's okay to stay in an unhealthy place. But when you stay in an unhealthy relationship, it's transactional. But what you're doing to yourself is also breaking yourself further. How are you being affected emotionally? How are you being affected mentally? How is it making you shift from who you are to who you're not? How are you losing your mind? Are you growing in such a place? When all those questions you ask yourself and and your answers are no, then you have to ask yourself, this is a place I put myself, not necessarily where God puts me. Sometimes we use faith to say, God, this is my cup. No, it's not. It's just because of those traumatic experiences, the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection that makes us stay in unhealthy relationships. Oh, if I have to get out now of this transaction, I'm going to be alone again. I'm going to be rejected again. I'm going to feel abandoned again. But you don't know what's on the other side. The fear of the unknown is holding you in a space where you don't belong. You don't know what is on the other side. If I didn't get out 10 years ago, if God did not get me out 10 years ago, I would have been dead. I'm just being down to earth with you. I would have been dead 10 years ago. Because that was where I was. I was walking with 3 pints of blood when the normal human body has 8 pints. And I had to go through multiple transfusions. If I had stayed with 3 pints of blood, I would have been dead. I wouldn't have written all my books. I wouldn't have become a coach. I wouldn't have become a speaker. I wouldn't be doing this now. But I had to commit to myself to say, you know what? I'm tired of feeling caged. That was the feeling I had. Like I was caged in a place where I did not belong. And I knew it was time for me to emerge. Because I've always wanted to grow. I'm that inquisitive child, wants to know more, wants to learn more. I have the heart of a learner. So I'm always willing to learn and accept criticism where necessary so I can build better and healthier for myself. So I had to get out of my own cage. I had to become uncaged. And I had to learn the journey of becoming restored. And I'm still not there yet. If anybody tells you that they have a perfect life, that's a lie. For as long as you're living and breathing, you're discovering who you are. It's a lifetime process. So I'm still on that journey of discovery, and I'm still learning a lot about myself, and I'm becoming more resilient, and I'm building more, boundaries, and I'm putting my foot down to say, you know what? No one can take my power or my voice. They did not give it to me. And that's when you realize you're not going to be in a relationship for transaction, because transactions are unhealthy. Sometimes. And you have to keep telling yourself, I'm sorry, somebody was sending me a question on another platform. You have to keep telling yourself, what are you created for? Were you created to be abused? No. Were you created to be devalued? No. Were you created to be unloved? No. You were born with love. And love is all that you need to keep you going and growing. And if that love if what you think is love is depleting you, then it's not love, it's a transaction. Love always elevates, it never depletes. Love will never judge you, but help you arise from wherever you are, and you're both building stronger. You're pulling each other up constantly, leaving no one behind. But when you're in a transaction, somebody is a tree and you're a shrub because they don't want you to become a tree. Trees never bend back to become shrubs. That's what it is when you're in synergy and committed to one another. It's unconditional. Transactional relationships always come with conditions. If you don't do this, then this is not going to happen. And if I take the finances away from you, then you're going to have to come beg me and be at my beck and call to get what you need. That's a transaction. If you don't do this, then I'm going to make your life miserable. That's a transaction. Because those are conditions. But when it's true love, it's unconditional. And you're not looking to get, you're both looking to give, and always give without expectations. When it's a transaction, you're waiting. If I ask for this, am I going to get it? And then your partner says, you know what? For you to get this, you have to do this, 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 this. And then there you are in a transaction, and it's depleting you. And you're having sleepless nights. And you can't even think straight. And you're thinking back, why is it that from my childhood, my life has always been like this? The inner child is crying out for help. And until you heal that inner child and all the wounds and all the trauma, you won't really know who you are. All you will do is get into transaction, become codependent, become emotionally attached, become emotionally unstable, and find out that all you're doing is losing yourself, losing your mind, losing your self-esteem, losing your confidence, and just getting invalidation that makes you think, okay, if I do something right to please this person, I will get validated again. But that's not you getting validated. Your emotions and your feelings are what are getting validated. But emotions and feelings are for a season, not for a lifetime. Because they can make you feel good today, and tomorrow they can make you feel bad. But you're not being good to yourself in that instance. Does it make sense? Thumbs up if you guys, are benefiting from me. Give it a thumbs up. Let me know. Because all I'm trying to do is to support as many people to really find who they are. Understand what true love is first for yourself. So that when you understand what love is, you can set the pace at which every single relationship in your life will go. You're not looking for validation or acceptance because you've already been validated. You're looking for a partner who will complement you, who is a reflection and a mirror of who you are, because what you're giving is what you will receive, and you won't have to beg or chase for it. You won't have to beg or chase for it. If there are more questions, again, I will take your questions. It's all about supporting you to get out of your own way and get into a space where you're building healthier for yourself. And once you build healthy for yourself, trust me, the partner you would attract will build healthy with you. If there are no more questions, I'll be signing off for today. Again, if you need support, feel free to inbox, email, visit my website, read the articles, get the books. It's all about helping you build for yourself. When you build for yourself and you get out of the unhealthy mindset and the lies you tell yourself and you begin to heal those wounds, all you discover is you become healthy. I have gone through that journey. It's not an easy process. But once you become committed to yourself to say, you know what, I'm tired of recycling my life and thinking this is what God designed, it's never part of God's plan. It's all part of the pain that we've acquired. And pain cannot coexist with love. Let me say that again. Pain cannot coexist with love. You can never love anyone from a place of pain, including yourself. That's a quote from my book, Beyond the Pain. You can never love anyone from a place of pain, including yourself. So the first thing is to learn to heal. Healing is the process of finding yourself. Healing is a lifetime process because you will keep uncovering things that you've buried for so long and you haven't even discovered. And as long as you're committed to the journey of self-discovery and healing, trust me, your life becomes better. You're going to lose people, but you will not lose yourself. And the key is not to lose yourself. The key is to find yourself. You will lose everybody that's keeping you in a place where you don't belong and are just marinating your ego and your feelings and emotions. But they're not helping you rise above and get to where you need to be with yourself. I initially, when I started to lose friends, I thought, oh my gosh, now I won't have anyone. No, the more I'm becoming whole, the more I'm comfortable with myself, the more I'm setting the goals and accomplishing them, because no one can live your life for you but you. And if you keep, measuring your life from everybody's yardstick, you will never get to a place where you're becoming and where you're creating the love for yourself so that you can attract better, you can build better, and you're not in a transactional relationship. But it all starts with commitment with yourself. So today, what are you going to do to get out of your own way, to become committed so that you're not settling for transactions? Transactions will bring you pain. Transaction will bring you chaos. Transaction will deplete you and not help you get to where you need to be. They would only take you on emotional roller coaster rides. But it's about you. No one can live your life for you but you. And no one can help you get out of your own way but you. And it all starts with the commitment to yourself, not procrastination. Because if you say, I'm going to do that tomorrow, you're making excuses, and those excuses don't yield results. You have to say this very moment, because you're not guaranteed the next five minutes. You're not guaranteed the next 1 minute to leave. So in this very moment, you just have to take a bold step. I don't know what lies ahead, but I'm willing to be committed to myself. If I didn't take that journey 10 years ago to say, you know what, I'm going to risk everything to make my life become better by becoming committed to myself, I won't be sharing this today. It takes you getting out of your own way, and no one can do it but you. It starts with you right this very moment to become committed to the journey of healing, to the journey of forgiveness, to the journey of finding your voice and finding yourself and regaining your confidence and regaining your power and standing in your own fullness and greatness to become the love that you were created as, so that you can attract better to yourself and stop being in transactions. I hope this has been helpful. Never stop loving while living. When you stop loving, you stop living. When you stop living, it means it's time to go back to your maker. But as long as God is giving you life, stop getting into transactional relationships. Start building healthy with yourself. Start becoming committed to your journey. Start finding yourself, finding your voice, owning your truth, walking in it, irrespective of what other people think. Because it is your life. It is a gift to you. It is a privilege to still have it in this season we're in. And it's an opportunity for you to connect to endless possibilities that await you in life and in love. You'll have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week, Friday. Take good care. God bless. Bye-bye.